Good morning, USA. All right. Yeah, it's first thing in the morning. I need to get rid of the snow and the ice so I can go out and run again. All right. So I'm rediscovering this channel on YouTube. BMC Studios or Central or something like that. It's all about apologizing for the Book of Mormon. It's the fake news of YouTube for the church. It's the Fox News of YouTube for the LDS Church. Man, it just reeks. It's just gross and disgusting to listen to, which is why I haven't really been to it before. But when a young man, when I saw his video last night, was talking about evidence of the Book of Mormon are the names in the Book of Mormon. I don't remember the exact title, but yeah, I had to act because he just opened up a can of his own whoop ass. What do you call it? The Rock Dwayne Johnson from WWE. Whoopee. No, that's a different thing, Travis. Dumb old man, not aware of today's cultural pop icons. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take apart his video piece by piece and expose him for regurgitation learning, and why regurgitation learning is a setup trap for anybody who only does that and refuses to fact check, refuses to learn how to learn. So it's going to be fun because this kid makes a mega ton of mistakes. So hang on to your hats.
The Book of Mormon says it was written in a reformed Egyptian script by ancient prophets who preserved the culture and language of their Hebrew ancestors.
Okay, here's your first apologetic tactic of deception. Did you catch it? He showed a clip passage from the Book of Mormon, 1 Nephi chapter 1, verse 4, maybe 2 or 3. But did you notice what he was doing? It said, the learning of the Jews, language of the Egyptians. And he's now presenting an argument that is preserving the culture and history of the Hebrews. Well, he gets that from the Bible, yes, but nowhere is anything about Hebrews in the Book of Mormon. We will look it up. Hebrews. And we got a bunch in the Bible. Exodus, Samuel, Jeremiah, John, Acts, Corinthians, Philippians, Hebrews, Revelations, Book of Mormon. It's in there. The culture and language of the Hebrews. But wait. No. Mormon chapter 9. And if our plates had been sufficiently large, we would have written in Hebrew. But the Hebrew hath been altered by us also. And if we could have written in Hebrew, behold, you would have had no imperfection in our record. Guess what, guys? First of all, there is no Hebrews culture in the Book of Mormon. Lehi found out from the brass plates, which were in Egyptian, not even the Hebrew language, but that they were from Manasseh. And Ishmael and his family, they found out they were from Ephraim, house of Israel. Not even Jews. See, the Book of Mormon is written to the Jews and the Gentiles. It doesn't say that the Book of Mormon is the people of the Jews, the house of Judah. It's not. The Book of Mormon is not of the house of Judah. It is not written in Hebrew. And I've got another clip from BMC Studios that I can go over on that. But did you catch that? This is a deception tactic. Because what they should have said, what this young man who has been brainwashed by apologists should have said is the culture and history of the house of Israel, of Ephraim and Manasseh, or Joseph, to be short. And so, yeah, this is, yeah, and oh, wait a minute, no, he does get into some Hebrew here, so we will be bringing this up. And so notice, the Book of Mormon is not written in Hebrew. No Hebrew. Pay attention to that. Because John Welsh, famous Mormon scholar, defender of the faith, exposer of Book of Mormon plagiarism. Yeah, so pay attention, people, because it's going to be a wild ride. So yeah, tactic number 1, watch out for word slip-ins to get you thinking on a certain train of thought that isn't supposed to be had. So he's taking it back to Hebrews, and it should be Joseph and his 2 sons. And so pay attention to this, people. You're going to get deceived if you're not paying attention.
One of the best ways to test this claim is to look at the names in the Book of Mormon. Of its 337 proper names, 188 are unique, meaning they can't also be found in the Bible. Because most words in the Book of Mormon are English translations, there's no way to verify what ancient words stand behind them. The Book of Mormon's names, however, are transliterations, meaning they preserve the sound of the original words rather than conveying their meaning in English. This leaves the door wide open for linguistic analysis, allowing scholars to compare the Book of Mormon's unique names with known words in ancient languages.
Okay, now here this very young man is thinking he's gonna linguistic explain us on how linguistic study research works. Oh, Nelly. Well, he makes some mistakes. You can't regurgitate, people. Come on, do your own work. And I can't, so never mind. All right, so linguistic studies. You can translate regular words back into the ancient language. So the whole concept of, oh, we can't do it, we don't know how, oh, but names, oh yeah, they're transliterations. Oh, come on, people. Don't fall for this. I mean, how many of you went on a foreign language mission? You had to translate English words into that foreign language. It's the same process to do it to Egyptian as the Book of Mormon claims it is. Now he's going to make the mistake about Hebrew, and I'm going to exploit that. But it can be done. We know how to translate Egyptian. We can do it into English, which means we can take English and translate it into Egyptian. It can be done. So the whole concept of, oh, we can't prove the Book of Mormon because we don't have the original blades. Yes, you can. And that's part of linguistic studies, is that we can recreate the Book of Mormon into Egyptian and verify if it is an Egyptian text. with the mannerisms of the Egyptian language. There is patterns in Egyptian that are distinct to Egyptian. Has anybody tried it? Didn't think so. Alright, so the next thing, transliteration. No, okay, I got that covered. Alright, so then the next thing he goes over is he shows a Paleo-Hebrew transliteration, as he claims, of Nephi and in Egyptian. Now let me do the screen and we'll talk over the screen pictures of it. Okay, here it is, his transliteration of Nephi in Paleo-Hebrew. Notice that he did get it right in the sense that it is read from right to left. So the question mark isn't a letter, so don't be confused on that. That is a question mark. He's saying, is this the original word? Is this what we need to look for in the ancient texts? Okay, first of all, pull out your Catholic Bibles. Yes, I said Catholic Bibles. Oh, you don't have a Catholic Bible. Oh, well, pull out your Joseph Smith revision of the Old Testament that contains the Apocrypha. Oh, it doesn't exist. Oh, right, because section 91 of the Doctrine and Covenants says that Joseph Smith said the Book of Mormon, or the Apocrypha, was translated mostly correctly, and so he had no need to revise it. So where is it? Oh, he got to go to the Catholic Bibles to get it. So, again, open up to 2nd Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 36. Oh my goodness, it's Nephi! Nephi is a biblical word. So there you go. There it is. The case solved. We didn't need to do all this extra nonsense about, oh, Nephi would probably be this in Paleo-Hebrew and this in Egyptian, and I'm nibbly, so I'm going to throw in Arabic, and we can assume that it was probably this, and we're going to search for documents for the name. 2nd Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 36. Problem solved. Case closed. However, this guy thinks that he knows Paleo-Hebrew. Oh my God. Anybody notice the mistake? Anybody? Anybody? No? Didn't think so. Nobody else knows Hebrew. I am the one who has deciphered the Paleo-Hebrew language. I know its origins. And that first letter is not an N. It's a K. The Kaf rather than Nun. What? Yes. If you're gonna put something out there for people to regurgitate, to defend the church, to defend the Book of Mormon as a Hebrew document rather than an Egyptian document, which it says it is, make sure you know your Paleo-Hebrew. And that second letter, I'm not sure what script he's going by, but I can only assume that it's an E that he's trying to put in there. And people, if you're gonna pretend you know ancient languages, understand the language first before you pretend to know it. You are not going to find the letter E in the ancient script. That's right. Paleo-Hebrew was a consonantal language. No vowels. So the I at the end of the letter is an actual Paleo-Hebrew letter, but it's not being used as a vowel. But here he is using it as a vowel at the end of the word Nephi as a transliteration. This is the biggest scam job that is currently going on today in Egypt. It's a popular thing to do in Egypt, and I'll get to that next. But don't fall for it. There were no vowels in the ancient language. And so what you have is, if you were going to transliterate Nephi into Paleo-Hebrew, all you would need are two letters, the nun rather than the kaf, and the pei. That's it. Two letters. That's Nephi in Paleo-Hebrew. If this guy knew his work rather than regurgitating somebody else's error, he would have known this. So that's the problem with this. So pay attention, people. Are you going to trust some little kid who doesn't know anything and is just regurgitating what other people tell him to believe? Or are you going to listen to an expert in the field who knows what he's talking about? Yeah, that's what I thought. The little kid who doesn't know anything. Okay, now this is the Egyptian version. Again, the question mark is not a part of the Egyptian language. All right, notice that he's also going from right to left. However, they're all facing the left. In Egyptian, you read into the faces. And so that's why you can tell which direction to translate on facsimile number 2, the outer ring, because of the way the faces are. And so here he's got this backwards. If he's going to be reading into the faces, he needs to switch the characters around in order. Now the first one you'll see on the right is the character for a person. It's a determinative where it indicates that you're talking about a person rather than a place, rather than a etc. Oftentimes these would, well, never mind. Too early in your learning experience. All right, so then we're looking at the next one, and it's a person, and he's got some kind of implement, and that's a common character. These are all legitimate characters in Egyptian, not like the Paleo-Hebrew stuff he was creating. Notice that he's got a little thing at the end, and it, again, this is not the if he's trying to do some kind of direct translation, he's mistaken. And so again, Egyptian also did not have vowels, and so the little chick there, the third letter from the right, second letter from the left, that would be the I representation that I think they're trying to do here. But you need to understand, and when you go online or you go to Egypt and you get a cartouche of your name, understand that it wasn't until the Greeks, Alexander the Great, when he took over Egypt, that Egypt then created an alphabet to conform to their Greek masters so that they can have a shared language. And this is where the Rosetta Stone it derived from, is because they wanted to use this learning of the Greeks in the language of the Egyptians on the Rosetta Stone to compare the two languages. And so, yeah, Egyptologists don't really understand the ancient translation. They only understand the Greeks' manipulation of the Egyptian language. And so you got to understand that difference. And so, yeah, if you get the cartouches, understand that they're taking the Greek-created Egyptian alphabet. The Egyptians had no alphabet. They didn't have vowels. They didn't have an alphabet. They had over 1,000 characters in their language. 1,000 signs. And they weren't vowels. Okay, so understand that if you're going to present yourself as an expert in the field, you actually got to know your stuff. Because when some expert speaks up and asks you a question that he knows you don't know the answer to, you're going to be humiliated in public. John Tvednes. I had a great time that night. Okay, so yeah, you gotta know your stuff, and yeah, this is just, it's ugly, people. I mean, come on. All right, so have I told you everything that needs to be understood about translating back into the? Oh yeah, I gotta throw this in so that you understand. They didn't always just transliterate from one language to another. That can be done, yes, and it was done on a popular basis. However, names have meaning. Travis, for example, is he who is from the crossroads, or he who is one of unity. And your name, it has a meaning to it. If you don't know it, I don't know why, look it up. For the most part, they are correct. You know, like my name has 2 different meanings depending on the source that you go to, but they're similar in definition. If I were to translate Travis into Paleo-Hebrew, for example, I would not look for somebody to put John Gee, to put Travis, because they just don't do that in Paleo-Hebrew. What they would have done was translate my name. And so my Paleo-Hebrew name is Heber. That's right, Hebrew. Because they think that that's the crossing over is their scholars' assumed definition. That's the best they can come up with for Hebrew. And so thus, he who is from the crossroads, the roads that cross over, and, you know, you can throw in Hadarakim Hebruim, because I got to keep it masculine in the plural sense there, or I can do the singular sense, Haderek Heber, or I can do the feminine, which would feminine plural, Haderakot Hebrot, but yeah, you know, when you do it, you have to do it in accordance with what you're doing. Because I'm a male, you're not talking about a female, obviously. And so I would use the singular male ending without any ending at all. And I could use roads if I wanted to. Okay, so yeah, understand that they have transliteration, but they can also translate the name. And so when you're looking for confirmation of Book of Mormon names in the ancient world, you've got to look for both of those. And you've got to make sure that you aren't throwing in extra letters that you ain't ever going to find in the ancient world. Okay. Man, that was a lot of work to explain. Alright, so...
It should be understood, though, that vowels in most ancient Near Eastern languages were spoken, but not written. This means that connecting Book of Mormon names with known ancient words is mostly a matter of matching up consonants. For this reason, there will always be some uncertainty when trying to figure out what ancient word might best match the sound and spelling of a name in the Book of Mormon. Fortunately, several categories of evidence provide additional confirmation that its names are authentic. For example,
apologetic tactic number 2. backtracking. Did you see what he did there? As I had already gone into detail in explaining to you, he then backtracks to say, oh, well, they didn't really have vowels, and so what I just put up on the screen was wrong. He doesn't say he was wrong, does he? They never do. Okay, so now he's going to again regurgitate his linguistic training on different types of things to look. These are distractions. These are shiny keys to distract you from actual linguistic research. You first have to establish that it is from an ancient document. So in order to do that, you first need to go to the books during the time period that this book was written. Because everybody who writes a book and makes a movie or whatever else, a song, they always get inspiration from contemporary sources available to them. In our day, we have tons of contemporary sources. And so it's a little more complicated in our day to trace where we get our ideas from. But back in 1830s, 1820s, not as much. It takes a long time to publish and write a book. And you have to get the money and all that stuff. It takes time back then. So there weren't as many books. Now, they have been making books since the print press, with the Gutenberg Bible being the first one, and the invention of the print press and whatever. And so, yeah, you got to understand, you've got to do that first. You have to first eliminate the idea that it is plagiarism or ideas taken from that time period. You've got to do that. If you don't do that, you're not going to be correct. And so that's the shiny keys. They trap Mormons into thinking, oh, there is answers out there somewhere. We just have to wait for it to appear. They never appear, people. They never appear. And that's your first clue that it ain't gonna happen. And so, yes, so if you're gonna study the names, look for the time period. And I will recommend, and I'll try to make sure to put the links in my video down below, because I put them on a Word so that I'd have them for this video. Oh, I was prepared. One is by a man by the name of Solomon Spaulding. And he happened to have written a book, and it's been titled Manuscript Found. His kids found Manuscript Story. Manuscript Found is lost. So even though the title of the book that I'm sending the link to says Manuscript Found, it's actually Manuscript Story. So understand the context behind this. But you'll notice that the publishers made sure to say, hey, the Book of Mormon from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints stole the information from this book. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a history behind it, but you got to know the contemporary publications of the time period. And that's why when the Book of Mormon went to a certain town where Solomon Spaulding used to live and hang out at the pub and tell his story to them at the pub, the people immediately recognized the Book of Mormon. Hey, this is familiar. Hey, wait a minute. That's Solomon Spaulding's book. Yeah, so they didn't do much conversion in that town. And so, yeah, then somebody went out and published Mormonism Unveiled, I think it was. to expose the Book of Mormon as a fraud and stolen from Solomon Spaulding. Gotta understand your church history, people. And that's part of another video from BMC Studios. Oh, the history of the church is proof that it's true. No, it's not. And so maybe I'll get to that video. So, yeah, come on, people. All right, so I forgot where I am, and I can't replay the thing. All right, so yeah, shiny keys. Don't fall for shiny keys when they speculate. You know, he's saying, oh, when you take out the vowels, you're not sure what to do. No, you know what to do. You look for words in that language that have no vowels. It's not complicated. Little kids thinking they're regurgitating smartness. Man. You know, regurgitation education is destroying our society. Period. It's killing me. All these Mormons who get high honors for regurgitation, all you're doing is demonstrating that you know how to memorize. It doesn't mean you're smart. And I'm proving Mormons are dumb. You gotta change your school system, the way kids are taught, because this is pathetic. All right. So did I cover everything that needs to be covered in this? Oh, man.
Some of its names seem so obviously modern that a competent forger in 1829 probably wouldn't have used them. Early critics mocked the names Sam and Josh because they sounded too American. Likewise, the name Alma has been criticized because although it was commonly seen as a Latin-based female's name in Joseph Smith's day, it's used as a male's name in the Book of Mormon. Subsequent discoveries, however, have upended these criticisms. Sam and Josh happen to be Semitic names found on artifacts that date close to Lehi's day. They are shortened names for Samuel and Joshua. Likewise, Alma is attested as a Semitic male's name from both before and after Lehi left Jerusalem. The fact that some people have thought these names were obviously fake makes their authenticity all the more significant.
If it seems fake, it's authentic. Oh man, this is a favorite of the BYU apologists. Oh man. Oh, come on, Mormons. Come on. Seriously, you're falling for this. Oh, it seems so unreal. No 14-year-old boy could have ever come up with these names. Therefore, it's proof. It's so fake, it's authentic.
Another line of evidence comes from the names that are accompanied in the text by a brief definition, called a gloss. This definition helps narrow down the ancient words that could possibly be a match, because any proposal would have to agree in both sound and meaning with a gloss name in the Book of Mormon. One example is the name Iriantum, which Nephi said means many waters. Scholars have proposed two linguistic possibilities, one Semitic and the other Egyptian, that nicely match Iriantum in its supplied definition. Other names, like Rabbana and Hermounts, also have proposals that meet this additional standard of proof.
Okay, did you catch the shiny keys and glosses? He never established fact. Only except that glosses is a linguistic tool for deciphering ancient languages or translating back to the ancient languages. Or he only uses the Book of Mormon as proof that the Book of Mormon is true. You can't do that. So Deseret, honeybee, okay, show us. You're doing evidences. Don't tell us about glosses. Tell us the evidence. Go to the Egyptian. Show that the word Deseret without the vowels refers to the northern crown of Egypt, which is symbolized by the honeybee. Oh, that's all you had to do. R.C. Webb already figured that out for us. That's all he had to do. And he didn't even do that much. But the others, we haven't got a clue. We have no idea where they're getting these words from. And Rabbana, that's supposed to be father in Hebrew, isn't it? Rabbi? Rabbana? You know, great king? Huh? So yeah, he's taking some liberties, but again, go to the links below. You will see exactly where he's getting these names for. Just humiliating. This guy, oh, come on, kid. See, he is a puppet of BYU apologists. It's unbelievable. He's humiliating himself. This is embarrassing for him.
The many Hebrew and Egyptian wordplays proposed for the Book of Mormon names provide another category of evidence. It's been suggested, for example, that the name Nephi comes from an Egyptian word which means good or fair. While this proposal on its own is certainly possible, it becomes more compelling once readers see how often in the text Nephi's name is connected to the meaning of this Egyptian word. Nephi himself repeats forms of the word good 3 times in his opening and closing remarks. One of his descendants was specifically named after him so that he would remember Nephi's goodness. And Nephi's people, the Nephites, were often described as being fair. Dozens of similar wordplays have been proposed for names in the Book of Mormon. This high frequency nicely matches the strong tendency of the Hebrew authors of the Old Testament to use puns in their writing. Some have questioned the significance of these proposals because, as in the case of Nephi's name, we can't be certain what ancient words stand behind them. Yet a number of wordplays in the Book of Mormon actually don't face this dilemma, because they're associated with names also found in the Bible, whose meaning is well known. For instance, King Benjamin, whose name means son of the right hand in Hebrew, used a pun on his own name when prophesying that the righteous would sit on the right hand of God.
Okay, apologetic tactic number 3. Or am I at 4 or 5 or 6 or 20? Using your own speculations as proof of the truth. Again, did you see what he was doing there? With Nephi, we've already established it comes from 2 Maccabees 1:36. But he's going off on his regurgitated speculation that Nephi could be from Egyptian. We don't know. And the wordplay with his name is a clue. No, the wordplay for Nephi comes from when he says, I was large in stature for a young boy. That was it. And so the Nephilim, is understood as being a race of giants in the Old Testament. That's the wordplay, people. Next thing you got to understand, you've got to understand the context of the text you're justifying as proof for your claims. He's using the Bible, saying, oh, many of these words are biblical names and they've already got established wordplays. Okay, remember, Lehi and his family are said to have left Jerusalem around 600 BCE. When did the Jews get back? And what happened to their culture? Anybody? Anybody? Oh, the book of Daniel says that they were righteous and they stood up for the Judah law of Moses, and they didn't give in to the Babylonian culture and influence. Wrong. Hebrew, not Paleo-Hebrew, just Hebrew, is Semitic. Why is it Semitic? Paleo-Hebrew's not Semitic. I should know. I discovered it. But all of a sudden, they come back from Babylon, and Hebrew now is Semitic. They also have a calendar system that the Babylonians had. They have the Sabbath day, which the Babylonians called a holy day of rest because the number 7, the 7th day of the week, is a bad luck number, so nobody needs to work on the 7th day of the week, which weeks were established. And the whole Jews returning from Jerusalem is about Jews who have been indoctrinated, enculturated, Babylonianized, because Hellenized is if you've been transferred into the Greek culture, which was what everybody was when Alexander the Great took over. That's why they had to create a Septuagint translation of the Torah and the Tanakh. Come on, people, do your research. So again, he's using his assumptions and his speculations without knowing the background. You went to seminary, right, kid? Did they stop doing the little cards with historical background? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Bull being the operative word. So yes, this was a post-captivity Jew who put his word plays into the text for the names. Those word plays are Semitic, not Paleo-Hebrew. And so Benjamin, yeah, sort of, son of the right hand. But then you get to the other word, Reuben, and you get to the other word, Ishmael. Those are incorrect word plays, specifically designed for the post-captivity Jew, not the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, because Reuben, or Ben Ra, is son of Ra. And, and people try to say, oh, my friend is son of friend, evil, and seer, and so yeah, Ra is seer in Hebrew. It's also an Egyptian god, but that's a different spelling. Pi Ramses, the cities of Pi Ramses recognize that name. So that's a different spelling. But Reuben is, or Ben Ra, is son of Seir. And thus, he becomes the birthright blessing son who is to be the seer of the tribe. But then notice the story, Joseph, the younger brother, the birthright blessing son of the desired wife, who had to wait to be married to Jacob, because Laban wanted his daughter Leah to be married, because she's the oldest daughter. She needs to be married first. You gotta catch on to the story, guys. It's very significant. Joseph is the seer, not Reuben. That's very significant. And Joseph, again, people mess up on his wordplay name. The wordplay has to do with the sheaf of wheat. Seph, wheat. Not many. And Yoh, that's Yah. Yah is wheat. He's putting himself in the dream where he tells his family, I was a big sheaf of wheat, and you guys were little sheaves of wheat, and you were bowing to me. Yeah, wheat, big wheat, yeah, God. That's why his brothers were pissed. So come on, people, understand the story. Don't just trust the wordplay of the author who's millennia apart from the story. So, yeah, many things to say on wordplay that I can go over the Bible with you on. But again, he's using this as a distraction technique to support his speculations as proof. He's not giving any proofs. You notice? No proofs. None. None. And yet he thinks that he titles evidence of the Book of Mormon names. There is no evidence. He doesn't give any. He says how to do the study and take what he glosses wordplays, parallelisms, contingents. I'll get to it. But that's regurgitation. Stop it. Quit memorizing things.
Another layer of evidence comes from some of the Book of Mormon's parallel structures. A great example can be found in a lengthy chiasm from the 6th chapter of Helaman. At its center, the name Zedekiah is accompanied by the word Lord. This pairing makes excellent sense because the suffix in Zedekiah's name is actually a Hebrew word for Lord, thus completing the series of tight poetic parallels found in the rest of the chiasm. Although such an arrangement could possibly occur by chance, it seems more likely that whoever created it knew the Hebrew meaning behind Zedekiah's name.
Another layer of evidence is that the Book of Mormon has chiasmus, which is Hebrew. Come on, Mormons, think. Don't just regurgitate. Don't repeat the words of others. This is borrowing or living on borrowed light. This is adhering to somebody else's testimony, not your own. Come on, this is a perfect illustration of this wrongness in the church. Even the church leaders have come out and said, don't live on borrowed light. Get your own testimony. What does the Book of Mormon say that it is written in? The language of the Hebrew. No. I read to you earlier that the Book of Mormon was not written in Hebrew because they didn't have enough room. It was written in Egyptian. There is no Hebrew chiasmus in Egyptian. Oh, but it's the learning of the Jew. No. It's an Egyptian record. It claims to be an Egyptian record. Period. Fact. There is no Hebrew in it. There's not supposed to be. What John Welsh discovered was plagiarism. How do I know? Guess what? There's the Book of Napoleon. There were 2 books of Napoleon, but the one book, which was claimed to have been written by a 14-year-old boy, you can't make this stuff up. This was contemporary. This was the grade school textbook for kids. It contains chiasmus, Hebrew chiasmus. Guess what? It's in the Book of Mormon. Travis Goodsoe with another TKO on the LDS. Come on, guys. Seriously? This is getting pathetic, guys. Mormons, what's wrong with you? Okay. My speculations are proof of truth. You're killing me, Mormons.
As a collective set, Book of Mormon names share several startling relationships with names in the Old Testament. For instance, neither record uses last names. Even more notable is that none of the names in either book use the letters Q, X, or W, nor do any of them begin with an F. In a day before computer search engines, this type of consistency would likely have been quite difficult for any would-be forger to recognize and implement.
This is just getting embarrassing. This is getting disgusting. You know, this is why I don't watch Mormon videos. They're just dumb. Because have you ever gone to school? Teachers would call consistencies with your report that you handed in to the class with somebody else's report or some other source book. They'd call that plagiarism. That's what he's doing. He's promoting consistencies, plagiarism, as proof of authenticity. You guys are killing me. And so, yeah, he wraps up at the end here and gives the spiritual feeling crap. So I'm not going to cover that. Mormons, come on, you're killing me. Stop. You're humiliating yourselves. Stop, please, stop. Stop. Speculation is proof of authenticity of truth. Plagiarism is proof of truth. Drama, drama, drama. Mormons, stop. Please just stop. Please stop. You're humiliating the church. It's just getting it worse. Please stop. Please, I'm begging you.